Welcome back to Daytime here on Rogers TV. Well, Derek, you know what? You are already sweet enough. You do not need to add extra sweets to your diet, apparently. We're going to find out why it's so important to make sure that our blood sugar levels are controlled all the time. With really important to talk about because we were reading through the background information and it's all connected. What you were talking about with the hormones and the diet and the digestion, it's unbelievable. What is hypoglycemia in its basic terms?
Sure. Well, hypoglycemia is basically when your blood sugar falls below an optimal range.
Okay.
And because blood sugar provides nutrients to your whole body, every cell in your body requires that for fuel, it can impact every aspect of your health.
So what are the symptoms? How would you start feeling whether you're starting to suffer from it?
Sure. Well, some people can experience symptoms that are very similar to having anxiety. So they might experience palpitations, perspiration, a little bit of confusion, unsettling in the stomach. You know, really it can be as light as that, but in its severest form, it could actually lead to a seizure. So we do have to be very cautious.
Are these symptoms then when the blood sugar is low or when the blood sugar is high?
These are symptoms for when the blood sugar is low.
It's too low.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's what you call
hypoglycemia.
Okay.
Exactly.
I wanted to ask you too, because just doing the research, TL and I didn't realize there were different types of hypoglycemia. So there's fasting and reactive, correct? So what's the difference between the two?
So when you see your medical doctor, most often if they suspect hypoglycemia, they'll do a test called glucose tolerance test. And what that's testing for is when your blood sugar is at its lowest in between meals, how low does it actually fall?
Okay.
And the optimal range for blood sugar is between 4 and 8. So you want to be within that range. But a fasting hypoglycemic individual would be quite a bit lower than that. Reactive hypoglycemia is you've done something and you're reacting to it. So you've eaten something potentially, or you've taken a medication that might cause a reaction, etc., in which your blood sugar goes up, and then 1.5 hours to 2 hours later, your blood sugar goes down.
So could you be not a clinically diagnosed hypoglycemic, but if you do the reactive one, you could bring it on anytime?
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's really why I wanted to talk about it, because I would say that every individual experiences hypoglycemia at some point in their life. Because really what happens is there's a stress reaction again. So what happens is the nervous system becomes overstimulated, the adrenal gland becomes reactive, it pumps out a lot of adrenaline, you're in this fight and flight reaction, and the adrenaline and the cortisol help to lower blood sugar. So part and parcel, it kind of works in this circle type fashion. And so quite commonly, if a person is hypoglycemic, they actually might be diagnosed as being anxious. They might be diagnosed as having candida. They might be diagnosed as, you know, somebody, if they were to see somebody, might even think somebody's intoxicated because they're just really not with it.
So, I mean, when we talk about blood sugar, the first thing that comes to most of our minds is diabetes. So does hypoglycemia, can it lead to diabetes?
It possibly can. If you have a family history of diabetes, there's a higher likelihood that you may be hypoglycemic in your earlier years, and if it's not really managed, it may transition into diabetes.
Okay, so let's talk about causes. What puts us in this state? Obviously, we found out that if it's our food, we can have meals that would cause the reactive kind.
Exactly. So the types of foods that most stimulate hypoglycemia would be refined sugars, processed food, not enough fiber, just really not eating well, and not taking care of your body would be the two most common.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sorry, I was going to ask about the hormones, because we said at the beginning that we read that there's a connection with the hormones and the glands, which you talk about a lot.
Exactly.
In this case.
Well, again, if we look at the female hormones in particular, when you go through a phase of PMS, that's a relatively high level of estrogen relative to progesterone. And that tends to stimulate a body's signal to stimulate the adrenal stress reaction, which again stimulates the reactive low blood sugar. So the body's very tired at that time of the month, looking for quick energy, the cravings for sugar come in. And then you start getting these reactive type
Now, it sounds like diet is probably the best treatment option, right?
Yes.
To look after yourself, eat well, but what are other treatment options available out there?
Great. Well, certainly eating very frequently every 3 hours, that's very important. But then we can start looking at things like simple fiber. An individual ideally needs to be at 30 grams of fiber a day. So for example, a cup of blueberries could provide 5 to 6 grams. So they're really, really loaded. But for those individuals that are very busy on the run, you might want a powdered version of fiber. And what you want to look for is you want to look for a variety of ingredients. You want to look for psyllium, which adds a bulking factor. You want to look for oat bran, guar gum, apple pectin, so a whole variety which is easier on the digestive system.
Okay.
Then there's digestive enzymes, which help you break down your foods better and help, again, mobilize the blood sugar and help with regularity. Then when we go to the adrenal gland connection, because again, 90% of hypoglycemia is related to fatigue. So if a person's energy is less than a 6 out of 10, they are probably experiencing hypoglycemia as well. So one of the wonderful botanicals is licorice. And the great benefit of licorice is it helps to stimulate your adrenal gland. It helps to provide all the raw nourishment. It also helps to regulate blood sugar. And as an add bonus, it adds a little bit of immune support as well.
I'm guessing the Twizzlers isn't the kind of licorice you're talking about.
No. At a time, I just wanted to clarify something, because this is the part that I find most confusing. Obviously, low blood sugar we don't want. That's when we start to feel all of these terrible symptoms.
Yes.
High blood sugar, though, we don't really want either, because even though the blood sugar fuels all your cells, that's what causes the low blood sugar, right? So is the goal to be in the medium?
The goal is to be in your optimal range. Too much, too little, a problem. Some of the latest research is very interesting. We used to think that insulin was the only factor that caused blood sugar to be pulled out and to be utilized, but there's something else called GIP, which is glycemic inhibitory factor, and essentially they believe that that works with insulin. And so if your blood sugar is high and after 2 hours if insulin doesn't bring it down, this inhibitory factor is released and that further brings down your blood sugar. But again, if you have too much refined stuff, it brings it down too low, too quickly, and then you end in hypoglycemia.
And like we said at the beginning, we're already sweet enough. We don't want to do that.
The less
knowledge. We love it when you visit. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm not having sugar ever.
Moderation,
Just
TL. You don't have to go cold
but
turkey.
I can't moderate. That's the problem. We'll be right back after this with Corey Keeley in the kitchen.
That's great. Thank you.
Coffee and refreshments for this show are provided by Tim Hortons, Rogers TV, Tim Hortons, together making good things happen.
This program sponsored in part by Top 40 Classics, Oldies 1310. Wake up with Brother Bob, weekdays from 6 till 10 for great music, news, and fun.
This program brought to you by the Ottawa Sun, theottawasun.com, Sun e-edition and news alerts. The Ottawa Sun, delivering more ways to keep you informed.
TL, I have some really big news to share with you here.
Very good. I'm excited.
Oh, you better be, because this is huge.
Okay, let me have it.
Okay, our Facebook page.
Yeah?
Over 350 members.
Get out.
No, I'm serious.
Wait a minute, though.
Yeah.
What's the population of Ottawa again?
About 1 million.
Well, then it seems we've got some work to do.
Oh, you're right.
Yes.
Over 350.
We've got to get the rest. Come on, people.
Yeah, come on, would you start signing? Hey, what are you doing?
No. Don't go this time.
Sign up.
Sign up, everybody.
Please.
La la la, hey, hey, yeah, yeah.
And a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. Well, we're cooking in the kitchen with Corey Keeley. Cooking in the kitchen with Corey Keeley. Cooking in the kitchen with Corey Keeley. Cooking pesto with Corey. Welcome, Corey. Good to have you back.
Hi.
Pesto, I think, is a favorite of everybody. Yes, and it's so easy, isn't it?
It's so easy. And this was my, I grew up on this. I just posted on my website, and I did a little thing. I was like, I think I was the first teenager ever to try pesto.
Really?
Yeah, because my mom, that was like fast food in our house. My mom would make pesto and put it in individual ice cube trays and have them in Ziploc bags, and she made her own pasta, and that would be an individual. So we'd come home after school, you know, do a 2-minute cook of the pasta, whip in some pesto, a little cream, a little stock, and have dinner.